Dude, let's get into it for the United Motorsports and UnitedMotorsports.com moment of the week. Aaron, roll the tape and let's see what we got on the takeout move. They heard what I had to say. Go for it.
Yeah. So it's look, I this is, I guess, going to be a longer answer for me. I because it's a teammate situation. I don't like what I saw. But then again, Cole left it completely open. It ends up on Cole's shoulders. Didn't know Haiden was that close. Haiden was able to suck up very close on that, second to last lap and bridge that gap to Cole. And Cole left it open. So then again, like I said, the teammate factor, everybody saw 2007, me and Ben Townley raced super, super hard the entire season. So from that standpoint, I'm not a fan. But it's twofold. This is a different time of racing. The series are set up a bit different, right? So we're going to Salt Lake this coming weekend, and we're going to have essentially another East-West shootout. So you are adding so many other elements when you have West and East coming together and to crown a champion at Salt Lake. So from that standpoint, I understand where Hayden's head was at for the aggressive pass and essentially pushing Cole over the berm and solidifying his championship, because Cole was only able to get back, or State got to fifth, right? He got up in fifth and ended in fifth. I just don't know if me personally, right? Like if I want on my shoulders to be like, hey, I want it that way. I understand why it went down that way from especially going in, like I said, the Salt Lake East and the West coming together. There's so much chaos that can happen, and to crown there to go or go to the last round and having to be able to still clinch that championship. So now there's a ton of stress off Hayden's shoulders. I just don't know if I would have done it to my teammate, and especially I know it's racing. Cole's a good kid. So adding all those factors into it, I just wasn't pumped on it, but I understand the situation, if that makes sense.
Yep. Great answers. That's a perfectly reasonable stance. Last question before we get into fans, and I'm going to do it once and once only. My take on it. If it weren't his teammate, are you 100% okay with the move?
I'm 100% okay with that pass. Yes, if it wasn't his teammate. And why I say that is because Cole left it open. It wasn't dirty. The angle of Haiden coming in was totally fine. And Cole was just leaning in and wasn't expecting that. So I think with the relationship that the team has, and then this is also kind of a triple fold thing, put the roles vice versa. What if Cole would have been catching Haiden and that situation would have happened to Haiden, and Cole would have bumped Haiden off the track, right? What's Bobby going to say? What's the team going to say in that scenario? I'm sure they wouldn't be pumped because their championship guy just ended off the track.
or does, and what I was wondering this morning is like, if the rollers reverse, like you said, and Davies is going for a championship too, he was well within it. Does he do the same move because he's going to need help?
RC, I don't think Cole, just because of his experience level right now, I don't know if he would have done that or came in that hot. I think he just knowing Cole, I think he would have left him a little bit of room. But I can guarantee you that next time that Cole's he's not gonna forget that. He's going to learn from it. He's not going to leave it open like that. It happened twice that same day. It happened in, I think, practice with Cole and Haiden in the exact same turn. And then it happened in that main event. So that being said, I understand why it ended up, how it ended up that way. I'm not pissed necessarily either way. Here's practice that we're watching right here.
What do you do there? Watch this. So like,
I think the bummer part of that is it happened once to Cole and with Haiden. And like I said, obviously Cole didn't know Haiden was that close at the closing rate of that main event. But to leave it open again like that and to have it happen again in the exact same turn, kind of very similar. Cole was opening that turn up. You could see he lost a little bit of drive traction coming out, spun a little bit coming out of that right hander onto the start straight, which opened the door completely up. So it is Cole's fault that he ended up on the outside like that. I just think it could have gone a different way. Like I said, I've raced 2007, raced Ben Townley, 24 motos straight, and we raced each other tooth and nail the entire season and kept it very, very clean. So that being said, obviously we heard how, what some of the fans thought about it. We could hear it over the broadcast. They weren't stoked on it.
No.
I understand that part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Great answer. Strong answer. So for my analysis on it and my thoughts on it, first and foremost, with the move, do I condone that kind of riding? Do I agree with it? No. Was I like happy about it? Of course I wasn't, like there's no shot, but at the same time, as I say that, just like you, I understand what is at stake. You talked about it. Okay? If he doesn't do this, okay, then he goes on to the next weekend, and anything can happen during the week. You could get hurt. It's just another ongoing week of just kicking the ball down the road.
Yeah.
So you have that in play, and then, like you already talked about, this is where we're exactly the same thinking. You go into Salt Lake. Okay, it is a showdown. Anything can happen. You got pride on the line. It's the last SX race of the season until we get to SMX playoffs. And then, guys, a dude could lose his mind. The bike could blow up or in elevation. There's so many variables that could happen. And I think that as well. And I've had this happen to me from my competitors. Yeah, we weren't teammates, but it was the same thing. 03 Salt Lake. I mean, Reedy ruined me in the corner after the whoops, but I would have probably done the same thing if I was in Reedy's spot, because I had to do that or try to take him down like he tried to take me down. So I would finish outside of the positions, that I needed to finish in to give him the advantage. So I see that side of it, but I want to be crystal clear is I don't like what happened. I'm not promoting what happened, but I also see the championship side. I can tell you this much, that I like the angle coming in. The contact wasn't super hard. I've seen 10 times harder contact. We're looking at it for the people watching. Dude, I have seen way gnarlier angles, 100 times worse angles, right? For way less at stake.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. Does it suck that it was his teammate? Of course it does. Do I feel bummed for Cole? Absolutely. But a lot like what you said, he was on the outside and Haiden coming up the inside. You just have to be aware. And at the same time, we're going to answer a lot of these questions of our takes outside.
The crazy part is Haiden got up next to him almost way before the turn. Like, where was Cole's like, hey, look over
awareness?
Yeah, the awareness about it. So I just think that's young, being in a championship position. Yeah. Hayden's been in this position before. He capitalized on it. Like I said, the kicker to the whole thing for me is just
his teammate.
Is their teammate, right? And I'm not saying they're good buds, bad, not buddies or whatever the case may be. I just think there's that respect factor to your teammate. But I understand, and you understand why it went down, because going to Salt Lake with a showdown in altitude and kicking the ball down the road, like you said, I guarantee you, I would be glad to have it over also.
And I go back to, at the end of the day, and kind of like, yeah, it sucks. It was his teammate. If it wasn't his teammate, we'd probably be saying something completely different. So I understand what's at stake. You understand what's at stake. Why? Because we've competed at this level the whole bit. So it wasn't like he completely T-boned the guy. Absolutely demolished him, dude. He shoulder checked him. The rear tires hit, and Cole went over the berm. It wasn't over the top malicious, and that's where I'm at with it. You're gonna like it. If you're a Haiden Deegan fan, you like my take. If you're a Cole Davies fan, you hate what I had to say, but I'm not for it, but I understand the back end, just like you said. It is what it is.
Yep.
It is
Yep.
what it is, brother.